Ever see a question trending online and think, where'd that come from? Like, chances are it started on Reddit. Ask Reddit specifically.
Ah, yes. AskReddit.
It's huge. People asking anything and everything. But here's the thing. They have rules.
11 of them, in fact.
11.
Which, well, it seems a little counterintuitive for a place that's all about, open-ended questions, wouldn't you say?
Okay, yeah, that's a lot.
Uh,
I'm guessing it's not just be nice, don't spam.
Not quite. We're diving into their community page as of October 11th, 2024, and I gotta say, these rules paint a fascinating picture. It's like you might think, a question's a question, but here, they're looking for something a little deeper, huh? The kind of stuff that gets you thinking, too.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What kind of rules are we talking about?
Well, for starters, you can't ask for personal advice.
Really?
Like, no medical, legal, financial, none of that.
Huh. I would think people would be all over that on a giant forum like that.
You'd think so, right? But it actually makes sense when you think about it. Imagine getting life-altering advice from, a stranger on the internet.
Right.
Not exactly a recipe for sound decision-making. Plus, for Reddit, there are ethical concerns with unqualified advice, potentially even legal ramifications. So they're protecting themselves as much as the users, really.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's more about fostering discussion, not handing out solutions. So what else can't you ask about?
Another big one, yes or no questions.
Oh, interesting.
Those are a no-go.
So no quick hits. They were going for the juicy details.
Exactly. Rule number 3, open-ended questions only. Encouraging a sense of shared experience, making it more about the why and how of things, not just simple answer.
Come for the question, stay for the conversation.
Precisely. And that sense of community is really important to them. Which, speaking of, there was one rule that really surprised me.
Oh,
No spam, machine-generated content, or karma farming.
karma farming. Okay, hold on. For those of us who haven't plunged into the depths of Reddit, what exactly is karma?
Ah, yes. Karma, essentially, it's Reddit's reputation system. Think of it like you earn points for being a good online citizen within that specific subreddit, of course.
Wait, subreddit. Okay, you lose me a bit.
Oh, right, sorry. Think of a subreddit like a dedicated forum within Reddit, like a little neighborhood all about a specific topic.
Okay.
So you earn karma within those neighborhoods when your posts and comments resonate with others. They get upvoted, which basically means people are into what you have to say.
So it's like high school all over again, but with internet points instead of, popularity contests.
You could say that, and by explicitly prohibiting karma farming, AskReddit is basically saying we value genuine human interaction here, no shortcuts.
They want the real deal, not some bot trying to game the system.
Exactly, and that makes a lot of sense when you consider they also have a rule about the serious tag.
Yeah, the serious tag. Wait, the serious tag. Like when you're adding a note, say you're not joking around.
Exactly. Rule number 6. It seems simple enough, but it's actually pretty crucial on a platform this big, like a signal flare saying, hey, this isn't the time for jokes, let's handle this with a little care.
Kind of like using a tone indicator when you're texting, just to make sure people are, getting where you're coming from.
Precisely. It's about creating a space for vulnerability, which, can be tough online. So it's one of the ways AskReddit tries to balance that free-flowing conversation with, not being a complete free-for-all.
Which makes you wonder, with millions of users, how do they even begin to, curate this massive forum?
Right. Well, besides the rules, they have this thing called community highlights.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's like a curated selection of what they think are interesting questions, right? The ones they think, I guess, will find most thought-provoking. But doesn't that kind of go against the whole ask anything vibe?
It's a great point, and it highlights something really important about online spaces in general, I think. Even when we feel like we're exploring freely, there's always some level of curation happening, isn't there? Whether we realize it or not.
Yeah, it's like they're saying, sure, ask anything.
Yeah.
But, we're going to maybe nudge you towards these particular conversations.
Exactly. And it makes sense, right? They want to showcase the best of AskReddit, right?
Yeah.
The questions that really spark discussion and insight. It's like the difference between, browsing a library randomly versus having a librarian point you towards their favorite hidden gems.
Okay. Yeah, I like that analogy.
Right. So even on a platform dedicated to these, like you said, these open-ended questions, there's still this balance between freedom and, structure. We're never truly free from influence, are we?
It's true. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, think about it. Without any curation, AskReddit could easily become overwhelming, right? Just like this chaotic jumble of questions.
Mm,
This way, they're able to highlight quality content and keep the conversation, I don't know, flowing.
that's a good word for it. Flowing. It's like, any community, online or offline, there are always going to be rules, whether they're written down or, simply understood.
Right. Like unspoken rules. We've all encountered those.
Exactly. And those rules, even the ones that seem, a little counterintuitive at first, they often serve a purpose, right? They help to shape the community, guide the conversation, and hopefully, create a more enriching experience for everyone involved.
Which I think brings us back around to our deep dive today. It's not really just about the ins and outs of AskReddit, is it?
Not at all. What's fascinating here is how these seemingly, very specific rules actually reveal a lot about the larger online world and maybe even, our anxieties about them.
Values and anxieties, huh?
But
Sounds like we're getting a little philosophical here.
yeah.
But you're right. There's this constant push and pull online between wanting things to be free and open, but then also like wanting some kind of order, some boundaries.
Exactly. And those boundaries, those rules, they
Yeah.
often reflect the things people are most, worried about. Like with that no personal advice rule, it speaks to that potential for harm when you're dealing with such a massive, unregulated space.
Yeah, it's like the internet can be this amazing source of information and connection,
Mm.
but it's also really easy to get bad advice or get caught up in misinformation or, frankly, just feel overwhelmed by it all.
Precisely. And that's where those, seemingly small details like that serious tag or the focus on, like we said, karma for genuine interaction, that's where they become really significant because they're trying to shape not just, the content of the conversations, but the tone, the intention behind them even.
It's like they're trying to nudge people towards a more, thoughtful, respectful way of interacting online.
Exactly. And isn't that something we could all use a little more of these days? It makes you wonder, what would the quote unquote rules look like for other online spaces if we were really intentional about fostering those kinds of values?
It's a good question. Like, what if every social media platform, every online forum thought as carefully about their rules as AskReddit seems to? Would it lead to a different kind of online experience overall?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And while we don't have all the answers, I think what's important is that we are asking these questions,
Hey,
that we're paying attention to how these online spaces are designed and how those design choices in turn influence our behavior.
because whether we realize it or not, we're all kind of part of shaping these digital communities, right? Every click, every comment, every upvote, it all contributes to the overall culture of these spaces.
Exactly. So next time you stumble across a question from AskReddit, or frankly any online forum, take a moment to consider the rules, both the written and, like you said earlier, the unwritten ones, because they might just reveal more than you think about, about the nature of online communities and ultimately our place within them.
It's a good reminder that even in, this seemingly boundless world of the internet, our actions still have consequences. And maybe, just maybe, if we're mindful of those consequences, we can help shape a digital world that's a little more thoughtful, a little more respectful, a little more human even.
I like the sound of that.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well, that was a fascinating deep dive. Thanks for joining us as we explored the world of AskReddit and maybe uncovered some surprisingly deep questions about online communities and, well, our digital lives in general. Until next time, keep asking those thought-provoking questions. And remember, even in the digital world, a little bit of kindness goes a long way.